It's been a week since the rotation happened and Fortune Barrens was released. So far there are only 2 classes that have a win rate above 50%, and the only time the meta was that skewed towards only one class was during the first days of Demon Hunter dominance in Ashes of Outland. In this video I will talk about cards that should be nerfed in order to get a balanced meta. I will divide it into 3 groups. 100% will get the nerfs soon, cards that should be nerfed, even though they are not that much of a concern by many for now, but are still problematic. And cards that probably won't get nerfed anytime soon, but they create a very unpleasant environment to play against. 100% nerfs to these cards. Paladin is boasting an incredibly high win rate across all ranks and archetypes. Sword of the Fallen is the reason why it is like this. Mysterious challenge on steroids, cheating out secrets as early as turn 2, thinning your deck, which allows you to get much better top decks. And the secrets themselves are the most powerful Paladin had ever. 1 mana counterspell, Avenge is back, and then there is Small Red Trap. This card has second highest mulligan win rate and highest drawn win rate. The suggested nerf would be either removing 1 durability from a weapon or nerfing the mana cost to 3 mana. The first one seems to be more likely if devs want to keep synergy with Commander. Another card that makes Paladin a top tier class in particular is Penflinger. More and more classes picking up this card as a burn neutral tool, like rogues, hunters, and even demon hunters from time to time. The reason it's bonkers in Paladin in particular is because of discounted Libra of Wisdom, giving tons of burn and a way to finish games for Paladin, especially after you play Liadrin. An obvious nerf would be that Penflinger can only deal damage to minions. This can still be a decent removal tool and a playable card with field contacts and frenzy cards. This will also mean that Paladins won't have an obvious late game finisher, and they will have to find something else. I won't talk much about Deck of Lunacy because this is not type of a card that should be playable in any viable deck, since you can't really play around the big randomly generated spells being played thoroughly. Almost 70% win rate on mulligan is not fine. I can see 2 nerfs to this card, either nerf to 4 mana or to 3 mana with transform spells that cost 2 more. Both of these suggestions are making it so you will lose a lot of tempo for playing this card, so it's not as crazy of a narrow game blowout. Last in this section are 2 watch posts. 2 and 3 mana ones. Far Watch Post has a Kalisev effect, giving you auto wins if played with coin or on turn 2, since it's close to impossible to deal with this at the start of a game, and the mana tax effect will add up very quickly. The same problem is with Morshan Watch Post, denying any chance to see a decent minion based tempo decks, like Zulocks and such. Current aggro decks completely ignore the board and bring tons of uninteractive damage, like weapon rogues, mages, and then there are token druids, which run 3 minions a dev deck at best. The most basic nerf would be to reduce the health point to both watch posts. I can also see all watch posts to cost 3 mana with 3 for set line. Currently you can bring these 2 watch posts and Cargal in almost any deck and it becomes better, which is not fine for a neutral card. Problematic cards. Even though we don't see animated Broomstick a lot right now, make no mistake, this card is still busted. When the game returns to be a more board-centric one, you'll see tons of brooms sweeping your board all the time. You can approach broom nerfs in many ways, make it so it gives rush to only adjusted minions, or remove rush from broomstick. This nerf will be the same preemptive kind of nerf that was done to Brian Dynatamer, in order to not give a chance for Highlander Hunter to be an oppressive deck after the nerfs at the start of a Darkmoon Fair. Another card that is making Paladin start insane is Elder Intendant. Initially it was a 2 mana 2/3 card, and then it got buffed to 1 mana in order to try to make Libram Paladin viable, but then in Skullman's, Paladin got tons of insane cards, and now Elder Attendant seems to be a bit overtuned. It's very hard to beat turn 1 Attendant into turn 2 Hand of Adol, and thus reverting it back to 2 mana 2/3 seems reasonable enough. Paladin will still have a great turn 1 with first day of school. Refreshing Spring Water. Another crazy card in Spell Mage is the 0 mana draw 2, and a lot of time combined with the Canner's Flow, you can't even get extra mana while drawing cards, which I find a bit concerning. If you want to keep Spell Mage viable even after a Deck of Lunacy nerf, then you can really touch on Canner's Flow, but you can't target Spring Water. I might over-exaggerate on this one, but still a card to think about. Toxic cards. Here are the cards that I personally hate playing against, or they're just too oppressive. Sethek Veilweaver, a better version of Lyra the Sunshot. Premium sets for 2 mana, can be buffed by giving itself randomly generated buffs, and then get back with Raleigh or Raise Dead. Super annoying card that you can't really play around, and sometimes you lose games from time to time just because the enemy priest got tons of new incredible spells out of nowhere. Nerf it to 3 mana 2/5, so this rally nonsense can really happen. Tictus. I think I would have felt fine about this card if you weren't able to play 2 of them with Yashirash. Honestly, I have no idea how would you nerf it, but I just can't stand and feel fine about losing 10 cards from my deck all the time I see slow Warlock decks. Mozaki Mage is fortunately gone, but Demon Hunter killing you with 3+ damage, lifesteal spells and Androki Warblades plus tons of attack buff are still here. Stats aren't a problem with Ilginov, and I wish this card would be playable as a good tempo card on turn 4-5 or so, and not being a combo piece for huge uninteractive blowout turns. And that's it for this video. It is interesting and important to look and talk about problematic cards, what we need to get a healthy meta. If there are interesting topics you want me to talk about, then write it down in the comments under this video, or ask any questions related to gaming in my streams where I can answer them too. Have a good one.